Ragavan. Wow. I'm playing against Ragavan right now. Huh. I wonder what that means. Alright. It's dumb. It's just dumb. Like, what am I supposed to... I'm actually just dead. I'm actually just dead. I'm literally dead. Alright. Hope everyone had a good weekend. Good Father's Day, if you're a dad. Anyways. We're here with Ulalek Fused Atrocity. It is a 5-color, 5-mana commander. Interestingly, you can either choose colorless or one of the colors to pay for each of the casting cost of this. It's kind of weird. Usually you see, like, I don't know, my head is used to, my mind is on Reaper King, where, like, it's either, like, a color or 2 colorless, right? This is, like, just right down the middle, which is pretty cool. This is not part of the main set. The symbol's obviously different. It's the MH3 Commander set. I don't really know how to find it normally, unless I'm not seeing it on this list. But for anyone who was curious, if you want to look at these commanders, you can just type the set, then M3C, or is it MC3? It's M3C, and then it will, like, that's just the set thing there, so the set code, and that's how you get to see them. There's not many, obviously, but that's how you get to see them. You could just filter through your not collected pile and bump into them, but this is, I think, the only way to see the commander only cards. I think if this happens every time they have a set like that, just throwing that out there. But anyways, this is 5-color. You can do a lot of things because of that. However, I want to stick to, like, the text box and not just play fake Golos. So we're running a bunch of Eldrazi, all the older ones and most of the newer ones. I don't have the new Ulamog yet, but this, it would probably fit right in this. I'm not super impressed with it. It's not like the craziest one, but, you could run it if you want it and own it. It's kind of fine. 5 colors gives you the best of the best, right? You can do whatever you want. I'm running Counterspell Mana Drain, kind of as like the crazy scary blue cards. There's no Swords to Plowshares in here, although you probably could do that. Again, I mean, you have like over 300 cards that you could reasonably put in this deck. I'm staying as teamer as I could, so, blue, green, red, just kind of tighten my window, maybe get a more cohesive thing going that also stays on, like, Eldrazi theme without, like, turning into Teamer, Teamer Omnath, where I just play lands all day and then ramp and then cast, like, big things that we've cast 1,000 times already. Just doing that. So Forsaken Monument is weird because it's not a true colorless deck. However, if you have just a few wastes in play, suddenly this is like a 5-mana ramp spell that gave you anywhere from 4 to 8 mana, right? It could, or let's say anywhere from 3 to 5 realistically, and I think that's kind of fine. The 1-mana green dorks are kind of the best thing you can do, so I'd be blown away if there was a way to do this without doing that. So this is probably always green, at the least. Omnath, the 5-color one, or the 4-color one that got, like, nerfed to 5 mana for the alchemy change thing, whatever. The paper version doesn't have the colorless generic casting cost on it. But we're running all the fetch lands, right? This just seems pretty universal, and I can reasonably afford to splash white somewhere to just cast those. Same with these 2 tutors. They seem good enough to always just splash black for. And, my pride and joy, Overwhelming Splendor, scamming people is hilarious. So I'm just putting it in here because I think it's funny. Kozilek's Command, we've already played that before. Some of these, I'm not really going to go, like, card to card about each new Eldrazi. They're just Eldrazi, and they do Eldrazi things, right? You just want to copy Eldrazi spells. I forgot to actually say what the commander does 4 minutes in. My bad. It casts duplicates of your spells. So it copies the spell and activate it and triggered abilities. So it would copy Ulamog's Exile 2 permanents, and I guess you would get a second Ulamog. I'm pretty sure that doesn't really matter because it's a legendary, but that's something, it doesn't matter in the legendary ones, but you could double Thought-Knot Seer. You get 2 Thought Knot Seers, though, so if they die, your opponent draws cards. But, you know, seems pretty on point. I don't know how you don't play Thought Knot Seer, right? This just makes sense to me. Null Elemental Blast. I'm coming to really like this card. It's kind of neat. It's kind of cool to run like all the fetch lands ever. I think this is the first time I've done that. All 10 of the, you know, the main line fetch lands. They don't all have perfect targets. I could reevaluate if I find out that like I'm not having enough targets for them. As it appears, it doesn't seem like I do. It's weird because the colorless pain lands are kind of important, and I gotta make room for those while also making room for the fetch lands to do something reasonable. So I'll probably end up adding more than just triomes. I have the Teamer Triome and then the main, like the green one, because that's our color, and then the off 2 color one, the triome there. It makes sense to me. Yeah, that's about it. We just try to play this pretty quickly and then cast a couple Eldrazi after the fact, and then just schmeat our opponent with it. So yeah, let's see how it works. That you just can't really do anything. What is this? Teferi? Is that the one that? Wait, what is this one? Makes the 2/2 things. Okay, that's what. Of course I have Blast. Yep, we could have had this the past 2 games. Nope, sorry. You only draw Blast against monocolored decks. Didn't you know? Whatever. My hand is really good. It's just that this card has no text on it. It is really good, though. I think it's just still really good, which is really saying something. It's really saying something. Alright. Let's get we have green and black. We get white. This one? And then you, and of these, I think Into the North is the weakest one. I think the Iron Crag is a little bit better because of the colorless. I mean, this could obviously find wastes. Okay, it doesn't matter. Whatever I was going to play was going to get countered, I guess. They both sort of counter it the same way. Tome of the Infinite. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but, well, definitely subject to completely solo me. I could play Matter Reshaper. I suppose I will, just to have something in play that threatens their commander. I think that's fine. I'm not really using this next turn. Opponent missed a land drop. Let's play land before we play this, see what happens. And then I'll plot the excuse me, I'll plot the pillage. There's a fair amount of things this hits that are useless, but there are some that are not. Into the Royal. Wow. Okay. They found a land. So they Into the Royal this. Does that mean you want to counter it? I feel like I'm just totally down with you countering this. Nope. I'm going to look for... Maybe I'll just play this, actually. I don't really know what I'm looking for on Pillage. Kind of a ramp spell, to be honest with you. Sort of what I'm interested in. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, sure. Yeah, that... Okay. You got it. Opponent doesn't hit their land drop again. The Tome of the Infinite has a chance of finding Ponder. I feel like they should be sort of trying to hit Ponder. So I'll swing for 3. This is another game where my commander really isn't doing much, so I wouldn't miss it if it got countered. So I guess I'll just lead with it. I'd rather this get countered than Pillage the Bog, obviously. Like, this just isn't really doing much, right? Oh, this can generate Swords to Plowshares, too, so maybe just letting this resolve is just something they're going to do anyways. Okay. Gonna decline, and I suppose not cast Pillage. Again, 4 life, sure. I think I'm not going to cast Pillage. Yeah, if I can make my opponent not spend their mana as efficiently as possible, it probably makes sense to do that. Alright, that's a funny draw. I do have 2 colorless. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, that's not like that. And then this is my colorless to copy it. Alright. This is a mono blue deck, so this is probably a pretty big deal. Okay, well that... Oh, okay, sure, I guess. Now we'll do this, now that the shields are out of the way. Wash Away is interesting, and I think it's just the best. I mean, oh gee, there's a lot of lands here, wow. Yeah, Wash Away's fine. It doesn't just hit their commander, but if that's what they do next turn, well, guess what, I hit their commander. But they're basically dead if they cast their commander, so I can't imagine they're going to cast it. Neat. So they got mana screwed, and I guess that's it. They got mana screwed, and they also apparently didn't just scam me by playing Hearthstone and randomly generating 1 mana perfect answers. But right. It's been a rough patch of it, though. But, I mean, we went from, like, the best commanders of the set to, like, the worst ones. It's just going to happen. This is probably worse than Emrakul, and that's kind of crazy. Like, colorless deck, true colorless seems like a better strategy. We could just... but again, you're redefining... I'd have to approach this commander several times to come to conclusions like that. Which is certainly a thing I could do. I could just replace Emrakul with this in the command zone and see what happens. Well, I mean, it would do well to at least add some colored cards, though. Okay, look at that. We're doing the thing. Alright, we have double white, actually. We have triple white. Let's play you, and you getting... Really can't afford Surveil lands, so... What Triome is that in play? Abzan. So... This one. This one or this one? I guess that one is fine. It's so close that it might not matter with double command tower mana. Alright. They're doing the thing. This doesn't have anything to do. Just do this. Find something to do, maybe? I actually wouldn't mind a ramp spell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't find a ramp spell. I could roll again. Could roll again with this. I feel like this is not a real magic card here. Wait a minute. This gives me Eldrazi spawn. Okay. I guess that works. It's kind of weird, but like, sure. It's like a thing I can do. Does this give me Splendor mana? No, I'm still one off, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No! I can cast this. I can cast this. This is a black-white deck, so this by far has the most answers to that. I mean, this one's just probably better than this one, so keep that one. Opponent's probably a little concerned that I literally just got rid of River's Rebuke. Like, what does that mean? They could have Mana Tithe. I don't know if it's realistic to play around it. Can I? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess I can play around Mana Tithe free. The One Ring is a problem. I mean, there's plenty of problems with this line. I'll keep the spawn around, and I'll just get a Wastes here. Alright. This is profoundly good. It just has to totally isolate my opponent indefinitely, and that is maybe a tall ask here. But they do need to do something about this. Probably. I can't imagine I'm dying to a bunch of 1-drops. But again, this is black-white. It's like the answer color combo, usually. Like, white's got a lot of things it can do. So does green. But they have to have it. I don't anticipate something like Farewell, though, or anything. I'll probably let my opponent have all the mana they want off that. I think that's just kind of fine. One, two, three, four, five. I can cast both of these. Yeah, you can have your treasure. That's fine. And I'll play this. Maybe I find something immediately useful, right? I'll just get rid of this Rift with it. Approach is a win condition outside of what's going on. However, I think Cyclonic Rift is literally better for giving me, like, quote-unquote inevitability. So that's fine. And no attackies. Alright. We get to keep the Scions, or the spawn around, because of this thing. They just tap instead of sack. But it is any color. I still have to sack them for true colorless. Alright. No Alpha Strike. Probably a good sign. And now I can easily start paying for the Smothering Tithe, as I don't have anything else to do. Let's swing with these two. Would not miss either of them from trades. Opponent says no. Alright. Maybe I could have kept one of them back, actually, because we're not winning that back-and-forth race. This is 5 damage. Alright, pre-combat cast something. Ow. Honestly, end-step casting Cyclonic Rift is still probably just Giga-bust it. Especially if they commit something right now. Well, that wouldn't matter too much, but... Alright, yep, it's fine. Alright, yep, looks like our opponent got soloed by Overwhelming Splendor and then just threw a temper tantrum and roped us out, so... Nice. Yep. I cannot find black mana off of my Into the North, though. Cannot find black mana. Alright, never punished. Found it there. Alright, so let's go get kind of anything is fine. Oh, Spell Pierce? Oh, sure. Alright. Normally I'd be upset, but I guess we have this, so I'm not. Okay, play you. Another counter spell? No, alright. I kind of want to land and maybe incentivize a counter spell. Just send another one here, it'd be fine for me. Okay, so a land would be good. Is anything better? I don't think so. I mean, this is technically a land, and I have something to do next turn, so this is like 2 lands in 1. This has reach, though. No, we're going to take the land. We're going to take the land that taps for 2. My opponent just didn't cast their commander. That is wild to me. Do you counter this? I mean, you got to do something here, right? Surely we counter this random enchantment that doesn't do anything when you cast it. Surely we counter this, right? Please counter this. I would love you to counter this. Dang it. Tragic. They're reading it, though. I like countering ramp. I do like countering ramp. It depends on the matchup. It depends what's going on. Like, if I could, I'm going to Mana Tithe the Llanowar Elves, right? And this is the kind of deck that maybe wants to tempo me and kill me before I, you know, get going. And just, like, play a bunch of wizards and cast a big dumb spell or something. So, I don't know. Alright, so... Is there sorcery? Sure. Yeah, Spell Piercing Ramp. The earlier you do it, the more impactful it probably winds up being. I did have a land in this, but it is a tap land. So, do I cast my commander? If I do, I can cast it again next turn. I get a trigger off of my thing, too. Oh, yeah, this is just perfect, then. Yeah. I don't even need my commander. Like, I'm not interested in actually copying anything, so this is probably being threatened by something that they should not be. And it worked out. Like, this, my commander in this instance is actually not terribly useful. I'm going to play this as a tap land. I think it's just the right thing to do here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If they play their commander and have somehow nothing else, we're good. I would prefer Portal to get countered over Splendor. Do I have double white? I do not have double white anyways, so never mind. So it's just not part of the equation. Well, this is yet again them not casting their commander, it seems. I would be surprised. Would I? I don't know. It's still 3 mana, 2 of it is blue. Okay, yeah, I guess I would be surprised if they didn't cast it. Wow. Okay. Okay. Alright, we did it. We did it. My opponent either did not have a counter spell or didn't want to commit counter magic to Thought-Knot Seer. Okay. So, this was really, really bad. At least my iteration of it was bad. Again, I was really trying to get the main strategy to work, which is cast this and copy Eldrazi. However, there are a lot of Eldrazi and a lot of changelings that aren't really useful at all. Like, at all. They also, for the fair amount of the time, it is kind of weird to, like, play this on 5, right? And then turn 6, you play your 4-drop, right? Like Thought-Knot Seer, because I didn't play it before I played my commander, because I wanted my commander in play first to get 2 of them. That has to line up in that way, and that's weird, because sometimes you don't want to do that. You actually do want to play your 1, 2s, and 3s that, I guess, aren't ramp spells if you had something else to go to do, instead of, like... It's just weird. It's just weird. It doesn't play too well with Eldrazi that kind of cost less than 5. Like it. But, like, kind of the best ones are already on 4, really, other than, like, the Titans. But you don't really have any incentive at all, if you even can, copy Titans, because it, like, costs 10 mana. You need 12 mana to get, like, 2 more Vindicates, basically. That's not even all that amazing. The first Ulamog is good as is. You can't copy anything about the new Emrakul. I guess you could copy the old Emrakul and take their turn twice, and then they, like, it would be kind of funky looking. It would be weird, but because then, like, they get a turn after, and then you get, like, they get an extra turn, but you steal a turn. I don't know if it's like you take 2 turns and then they take 3 turns in a row, right? I don't know how that works. If you steal a turn and then they get a turn, and then you steal a turn, and then they get a turn, it's like, okay. But if you steal 2 turns in a row, and it goes back to your opponent for 2 turns, Emrakul already isn't that great. Giving your opponent 2 turns in a row, even if you can kind of devastate their board, is not a good idea at all. So I actually, depending on how that works, I don't feel like thinking about it. Depending on how it actually works, 2 and 2 or 1, 1, 1, 1. There's no incentive to copy this anyways. So there aren't any Brawl worthy, Magic Arena worthy Eldrazi to copy, and there really aren't many changelings. I think really kind of the best changeling, the only one I really liked was Faceless Agent. Seems really nice to copy this and get 2 things to then copy later with this and stuff like that, but that means you either had this and didn't cast it before this got into play, right? Or you just invested 5 mana on a 5 mana 2/2. Or I guess it's a 5 mana 4/4. You do get 2 of these. It's a lot of mana and awkward with... Oh, that's another thing about the colors. It's awkward with colors. I don't really know if it's reasonable to make a 5-color version of this and also expect to have a bunch of colorless sources. I was trying to do 3 colors, and then I sort of veered farther and farther from the red and went just blue-green. I think that's sort of the best color combo for really anything. I mean, green's the best color in the format, so if you might as well take the advantage if you can get it, right? Avacyn's Pilgrim is probably the best card in your deck, because you had green, this taps for white, that's 2 right there, right? So that's just, it's hard to pass that up. It is a 5-color commander that has it's the antithesis of what Golos is doing with its mana, with its lands, not with its mana, but with its lands. It's like you want off-color things, sort of, like you can splash things. I had black here, I had white here, and obviously this costing either white or black or colorless or whatever. It's like and then Thought Not Seer, like True Colorless is looming in the deck, right? So I do sometimes really want it, and then you need True Colorless for the ability in the first place. So Palladium Mirror and War and Power Stone is like super useful in that way. Another thing that just puts this even worse is you have to manually tap, because otherwise it did cost me that Muldrotha game. I know it did. I tried to copy this, but it tapped my colorless mana to cast it. All of my colorless mana to cast it. So I had to manually tap to make sure that didn't happen so I could get 2 of these. So I kind of messed it up. I didn't think about it, because normally the auto tapper does a pretty decent job, right? It's just that this commander is, with True Colorless and stuff, I guess it's confusing what it's prioritizing, right? It's not seeing this and respecting the ability and stuff. It's like, oh, we'll leave up your colored mana. That makes sense. It's like, well, nope, not this time. So that's unfortunate. Another thing I'll have to say is we played almost, well, okay, I won't say almost exclusively, but we played well over half, I believe, in 3 hours. Well over half of my games were playing against Nadu. And I had a game against Nadu where I had Null Elemental Blast and Wash Away. I answered it twice. And then I think I had a Grazer to like block it if it ever hit me for a bajillion at once. I had everything I'd ever want against it. I think I even had a counterspell, but they like countered the third answer. And I lost like I didn't do anything. I literally lost just 2 turns slower. That's it. Whatever I was trying to do was not fast enough. And again, if you're trying to do this text box, you're going to probably do something somewhat close to this. And if you're trying to do something that's like the first sliver or Golos, where it's 5-color good stuff, 5-color pile of just rares and mythics that do like really powerful things, board wipes and the like, then you're better off playing those commanders instead. I don't see why you would even play this anyways, other than maybe you have it in the command zone just to weaken your deck weight, and then have like, the sometimes Ulamog doubler, or the sometimes one of these that you might have in the deck, but like the other intermediate things could come out. I mean, you could still keep K command in here, but if you're trying to actually cast 2 Thought Not Seers, or 2 of this thing, or 2 of whatever this is, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It would be profoundly different if Nadu was not looming around. This would be stronger. It would be more in line with what you'd expect to be in line with when playing this format. But until Nadu moves, you're kind of screwed. And it's just like Pock. Pock was around in the wrong area for months. I think it was months where Pock was around for, it was like about 2 weeks ago, or the launch of MH3, or a week before the launch of MH3, roughly. Maybe 2-ish weeks before that. From that point all the way to when it first released, it was all in the wrong queue, kind of. So either they're going to be faster. I know they're changing how it works and stuff. So either they change how their deck weighing algorithm works, which they apparently claimed was going to be a thing. So maybe everything is completely different, or they take 2 months and we just have Nadu in the bottom for 2 months and the format is completely warped because of this, right? I don't fault people for auto-conceding against Pock, and I don't fault them for auto-conceding against Nadu, unless you're prepared for it. My last deck, the Obzon thing, the plant, was very, very prepared for Nadu. So much so that I didn't even see it as a problem to play against. This was not even this. You can't play something like this. If it's like 50 to 60%, I think today it was about 50. It might be 55. I'd have to go. I'll find out when I see the VOD. It felt like about half. You're just totally screwed. So you either concede automatically, it's not a ranked format, or you just sit there and watch your Nadu player completely clown you, or you completely reinvigorate the layout of this deck and play a different set of cards, which is possible. You could do a black-white version of it, where it's all removal and discard and sweepers, and you have an Eldrazi package looming in there for whatever reason, right? You could do that, but when you're doing it like this, you don't stand a chance. If you're the same colors as Nadu, I'm telling you right now, Mans is going to use those colors way better than you are. So that's unfortunate, and you can't make your deck so weak that you don't play against it, because again, it's at the bottom with everything else. You could play like a Pauper deck, and I think you could still bump into Nadu. Overwhelming Splendor is a good gotcha card. I think I won a couple games because of this card alone. That's kind of funny. I don't have any ways to tutor for it, though, so it's just like I either draw it or I don't. And that's not very exciting. You can run tutors, right? And that's totally reasonable. You could probably maybe even drop the counter spells and just run like more tutors that are similar to Assemble a Team and Pillage the Bog. That's definitely possible. You could run Grave Pact, things that like when your Eldrazi spawns die, your opponent sacrifices creatures. That pretty much solos Nadu, right? With Grave Pact, that just kind of solos them. Until they deal with it, well, all of your creatures better not die, because Nadu will never stay in play. I don't like talking about a specific matchup, though, but it's just not really, I don't know, it's just not ideal. Like, tailoring your deck for the meta is one thing. Tailoring it just so you're good against a single commander is kind of lame. Right? Like, the tier 1 queue kind of does that. Or, like, Rusko can play different cards because it knows its opponent pool. Where, like, our one opponent pool is, like, or the one thing to beat or dodge is so defining that your entire deck must change. Like, 40 cards, right? Or 30 cards must be different, roughly. 30 to 40 cards must be different to address the deck to beat or avoid, to make it quote-unquote favorable, or just not unfavorable. And that completely redefines your deck. So you're just probably better off scooping to it. And that leads to very lame gameplay, obviously. It also leads to lame content, because no one wants to watch me play against Nadu for 12 hours. Especially when I can't win. I played against it 8 times, or 9? Well, a little bit more than that. And I kept saying I'm just going to scoop to it, but I never did, because I wanted to try to win against it once, and I just never could. I didn't get close. I never even got close. That's just rough. That's just so rough. So I can't advise this commander, and that will probably be the case for quite a few until Nadu moves, or they're just specifically good against Nadu, or you're willing to concede to Nadu as it shows up. Well, totally viable option, and I don't fault you for it. So that's up to the player, right? Power to the player. But yeah, the colorless mix-up with a 5-color commander essentially puts this at 6 colors, and that is not easy. It's actually very difficult. If there was ever a not free color, it's probably colorless. As I tried to make that as free as possible, but it really did not feel like I ever wanted any double colored spells, like these counter spells, or like this double thing. I just really didn't want to bump into those things. And it's like just colored enough to where I don't want Forsaken Monument, and that's kind of weird, right? I think Mystic Forge is probably still worth it, because it does a little bit more than simply cast colorless off the top. You can manipulate the top, so there's like value in that. But Forsaken Monument, probably, honestly, every game that I played, I don't think it would have done anything. So, this iteration of Ulalek just probably doesn't like it. I think that's really all I've got to say about it. I can't advise you play this. It does kind of really like to play all the Eldrazi Titans. Even the new Ulamog, I don't own it. But again, probably could have just came right in here. You'd have to invest a bunch of mythics just for this commander to then disappoint you greatly. I tried to go all in on specifically the text box, and it's not possible. So, well, now we know. If I come back to this commander, it could very well have 90 different cards in it, right? I was shifting the land base around every now and again, too, just to try to fine-tune it, and I think I got to a moderately comfortable spot, but that wasn't even the primary issue. We could have perfect meta and probably still be getting hosed by what we were getting hosed by. So let me know what you think about this commander. If you have a vastly different idea for it, let me know. That isn't simply like, you know, first sliver pile. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.